Oh,
gee.
Try again. Hello, everybody. Oh, it's just what you need. Perfect timing for the cough. Good evening, everybody. And a very warm welcome to a Lyceum night coming to you from the Paul Spiritualist Church down on the south coast of the UK. We're joined tonight by a lovely, lovely gentleman, who's a great friend personally and of the church, Mr. Stephen Trolland. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Lawrence. It's so nice to be back here and back in your company and just see where the evening takes us. I just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't got a topic tonight. We just thought, because we're always very easy on the conversation. Steve is in a camper van on the west coast of Scotland at Aviemore.
No, not quite. You said it a lot better a little while ago. It's a little, a tiny little village way out in the middle of nowhere called Achatabui. That's the name of it.
I was close.
you were close a little while ago. You weren't so close there.
Aviemore. That
That's
sounds like something you get with a Greek meal.
it.
So we're just going to have a little chat tonight and a little conversation. Please remember, everybody at home watching us online, join in. If you've got any questions, good opportunity, because we often just get things, don't we? You get things. What's your thing at the moment, Stephen? What's the
my thing that actually is a thing, and at this minute in time, it's something really close to my heart, and that is simply honouring your true self, meaning honouring your true nature for who you are. I mean, a lot of people say this within the spiritual movement and so on as well. A lot of people say it anyway. Just be yourself kind of thing. But it's really looking at what is your uniqueness, because you are, if you are unique, you are different from everyone else to a degree. But in some sense, it's honoring that part of you that knows you better than you know yourself. And if we can give freedom to that expression of life within us and around us, it can flourish, bring fulfillment into our lives in such a more purer way. And we get to see and understand the world in our own unique way, but realizing that we do not have to please everybody. And it doesn't mean you have to be audible, but it's just you don't have to fit within the framework of everyone else's thinking, you see. And it gives you an opportunity to, shine your own light. And there is another saying that's touched my awareness recently, is the more your light will shine, the more shadows you will cast as well. So therefore, that's what I mean. You don't have to please everybody, and then that's the thing. That's my thing. That's my thing. Just now.
No, it's no surprise that trend that you're talking about, although put over in different words and different meanings, the actual base energy is being repeated by a lot of people at the moment. Last year, I thought, we're very well known now in Paul for our training approach. And I did think, do you know what? We're missing something here. We're missing developing the medium, not the mediumship of the medium, but the medium. And talking to people and explain, mediumship, evidential healing, whatever it is a faculty that we have. It's something we can develop. It's a bolt-on for us in a way, because it all hangs off of the true self. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Or am I barking?
Absolutely. No, you're not barking. Um,
Sometimes I am.
yes, yes, I agree absolutely. And as I mentioned before about honouring your true self as well. I mean, life has got such it's such a bit. You are an expression of life weaved within its beauty. And if we can accept that part of us, understand that true nature of ourselves, the more beauty that will shine in our lives, in our minds, and so on, because we've got a screen of experience, uh, which can be referred to as the mind. And it's my understanding that everything in all life is around us all the time. It's only what we're aware of that can limit us or enrich us, because we know us anyway. We know there's a spirit world. We know there's a different perception of life there. I mean, what perception of life is within our awareness as we walk this material world, you see? If we can see from that perspective, we can see through different eyes, and we can explore the world in such a greater way, and bring so much more fulfillment into our lives. It's a time of change in some sense, because that soul is always evolving through us, within this life and the spirit world. And the more we can embrace that part of us, the more we can evolve with it. It's not like taking the hands of our soul. It's allowing the soul to take our hands in some sense, and say, look what's out here. Look what's there. What do you see within that person there? What do you see in life? I mean, we look at the power of the Great Spirit, God, universal energy, whatever you like, because everyone and everything is a part of it. It's got many eyes. I mean, we got the eyes and the perceptions through so many different animals, insects, all that kind of stuff, And we can be open to, um, I'm not going to say you're going to start communicating to a fly or anything like that. Certainly not a Scottish midgie, that's for sure. But
I think I
anyway,
can hear one there. It's so funny because it keeps coming in every it keeps
it's
going near
just
the
my
mic.
voice. It's just my voice.
Oh no, this is a
No.
definite.
But it's experiencing life in different ways. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
That's what I think I'm trying to say.
yeah. No, I agree totally. As I said, because from that initial realization of needing to do more work to develop the medium themselves alongside faculties, but with the emphasis on personal growth and personal development.
Yeah,
It is also very fitting for the world we live in today because
hmm
everything's going nuts.
and
That's putting it nicely.
that's one thing I'm starting to do now. Well, a lot more. I've been doing it anyway, but within my circles, or my teaching environments, because not everyone wants to be a medium,
Mm,
and then a lot of people look at what classes are out there. They may look at different retreats, Buddhist retreats, all this kind of stuff, but what does spiritualism, or the spiritual aspect of life in spiritualism sense, what do we offer? What is open to those people that don't want to be a medium and stand up in platform and say, I'm not devaluing that, and say like, hi, I've
yeah,
got your mum here and all that kind of stuff. There's been so much, and especially in my classes recently, where sometimes we are creating a condition and allowing the expression of life, the spirit world, to create the results in some sense. And many people have had, it's their own personal connection to themselves, their soul, higher self, and also those they love in the spirit world. It's that personal connection. As we're going back, as what you're talking about, our own personal growth and just seeing life from that perspective in such a richer way. It teaches us how to live, or should I say, how to really appreciate life a lot more.
Very true. And you don't know this, but you've just echoed very well exactly what Simon James was saying when we went up for the open day to Stansted College.
Okay.
He gave a trance address, but he had a very interesting slant on it, which I know made some people uncomfortable. You know what it's like in our movement? You try something new and it's like, oh no. But
it's got to be open for change.
Listen, we don't change, we're not going to be here.
No.
And I'm pleased to say that I'm seeing the shoots of change coming up in lots of places.
That's good.
I am seeing now the slight shift of emphasis away from the evidential, you know. Thank you, Stephen. That was a lovely service. Next week we've got a really good medium. That sort of flow of energy where we were very much stuck. I am seeing a lot of churches and centres trying out new things. And, I encourage that and applaud that to, revitalise what we're about and not just depend on the evidential. So, yeah.
What you were saying there as well is when I was talking about we're creating a condition, but maybe not creating the results in a sense. Therefore, we're learning for that soul self, that expression of life that's evolving within that space to take us by the hand, as I mentioned, but teach us, meaning like we're learning straight from source. It opens up new perceptions and perspectives of teaching, say, in mediumship and so on, and trying new things because it's evolving. Therefore, if we can learn straight from source or walk straight with source, we're evolving with it.
Definitely. And it helps us to respond to things in our world rather than react to things. It gives us that wonderful pause on the way we fit in the world. I hope that's birds and not you.
It is, yeah.
And not the brakes have come off your wagon and you're trundling down the hill. No, it's all right.
I didn't think you'd hear it. I've just shut the window a bit.
I just had a vision of you going down the hill.
The wheels, the squeak of the wheels.
That's the one. Like the tanks on the parade.
Yeah, it's a bird. I'm looking out onto the rocks here, right next to the beach, and there's a little oyster catcher that sits on her eggs.
Lovely.
So it's just, yeah.
You can't beat it, can you? Immersing in nature, just the reconnection of the soul.
Yes.
So we have the lovely Margaret Challenger with us. Good evening, Margaret. I hope you're well, both of you. And she's saying here, hi, Laurie. Hello, Stephen. Thank you for this evening.
Hi.
I'm sure that there are more than us orbiting, but recently I spoke with a young medium who was speaking in light language. It was all a bit gobbledygook, however, she believed it was real. My question is, have you heard? I'll try not to talk Dorset. Have you heard of anything like this? And what is your opinion of this way going forward? Which I was told is the way ahead. Thanks, Margaret. I have a very definite answer. Stephen, what's your thoughts?
Light language. When we're connecting to that part of source within us and around us, the language of light is within our words, and whatever expression that takes.
Mm.
And same thing. It's like it might be in some way out there, but in another way, why not? And it's like, yeah, why not? But how did it? She says she believes that it was true. So there must be something in there. I would say, how did it make you feel? How did it move you? How did it create? How did those feelings create an experience within your awareness? Because when there's a true connection soul to soul, that's kind of what happens in my understanding.
Okay. So how long have you been a politician?
Never.
Yes. Yeah, I've come across this and many other of the new age. These are new age things. These are new age. And the thing is with the new age, it isn't new. Every generation, these things crop up. Every generation. People who practice it and earnestly go at it, great. I do get a little bit stuck when I'm told I've got to believe something, even though it doesn't present an evidential basis to me. I love spiritualism because when you work within it, there is evidence. No matter what you do, if you're working on healing, there is the evidence there. If you're working on your evidential, the evidence is even in the philosophical, where you do an address and somebody will come up and say, do you know what, that's been in my head now for 3 days, and you've just it's evidence based.
So it's touch something.
Definitely. Yeah, Margaret goes on to say, medium said she was visiting from another planet. The way it made me feel, I couldn't say here. Well, thank you for that, Margaret. And goes on to say, she said it wasn't talking in tongues. You see, that really just highlights, these new age things. There's no such thing as a new age anymore. It's recycled. It's rehashed. The ascension theory, that's been going on for donkey's years. Light language, I can't find the evidence within it. What people want to do, absolutely great. It's when it's foisted upon us, or when it starts to masquerade as another philosophy, that's when I tend to be Lawrence.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's we're living in a really hard world. There's a lot of challenges, and even within our own movement of spiritualism, when I'm talking about, and you're talking about here, the development of the medium themselves alongside their faculties, is I always say to people, mediumship is not a mask you can hide behind. Mediumship will take away all the masks. And I found that very true. Reveal all. The more how can you work in this energy? How can you work delivering this evidence of other people's lives, loves, emotions, triumphs, failures, how can you not work in that and not have that affect you? I don't believe you can. But I do see occasionally with people, somebody actually said this to me once. I'm only ever happy when I'm working on platform. And I was like, I think me and you really need to sit down and have a good chat. Because that to me is like, you're not dealing with something. Have you found, I know you came into this with tragedy in your life, Stephen. Did you find that working and developing as a medium was that co-journey of your own self-healing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in the beginning, it wasn't like in the beginning, I'll cut it short. I saw Famous Medium on the telly, and I thought, okay, I just wanted to know how it worked. I was so interested, never seen it before. Ordered the CDs and went up to try and meditate. Couldn't focus enough. Eventually, I just took off my headphones, and I was sitting above on a mount, a bit of a hill, looking down upon the trees and things like that. And then I just took my headphones off and I just took a deep breath. And as I breathed out, my awareness just went to all the wind, making all the patterns down below, bending all the tips of the trees, making all the waves up and across the hilltops and so on. And then it was all in harmony with, again, that there's the experience is so much more than words. That everything was in harmony, moving together with the clouds and everything. And the thing is that I was a part of it. I was it. It was a part of me.
Definitely.
And that's when I came to the realization that I am so much more than just my physical body, because I came from the experience. And that, to me, is when true healing started to take place, because I felt it within me. And it wasn't about it didn't involve the spirit world at that time. It was me connecting to that source of life in some respect and perceiving it in such an incredible way at that time. And that's when my healing journey started to evolve as well. But I do agree as well from another perspective, Lawrence, when you said there might be something you're not dealing with, you know, and part of me, I was, even back then, I was so, and even now, that my passion towards it is absolute. It's everything to me. And a part of me is like, if I can't do it, and then there's a part of me missing. So therefore, it's like when I do go up on platform or even here now, it enriches a part of, it's like that soul part of us. We're able to connect in some way, enriches the mind, but brings, as I mentioned before, it brings happiness, fulfillment in some way, in a big way, to me. So I can understand where it definitely makes me feel happier always, too. Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, you know, for me, the route for your mediumship, however that transpires, be it evidential, healing, philosophical, doesn't matter. It is very closely intertwined with your own healing. I've had some really uncomfortable experiences because you get to know, don't you, that situation that comes up, and then it comes up again, and then it comes, and you go, all right, okay, deal with it, Lawrence. You'll have to come back and do it all over again. But just going back, I'll put the link for this piece in the chat box. It's a really interesting piece. Now, I'm reading directly from it here. Alan Michael Noonan was sticking notices on a billboard in California back in 1947 when he was transported into another dimension, where the enthroned figure of Ashtar appointed him savior of the world. In his subsequent role as Messiah, Noonan wrote a substantial reinterpretation of the Bible called the Everlasting Gospel. He founded the One World Family, which he said, with the help of the Ashtar Command, would eliminate all professing Christians and then take over the governments of both the USA and the United Nations. But then it goes on, because that was 1947. Then in 1954, the Master Jesus was supposedly referring to himself as Lord Sananda from the planet Clarion, heading a group of communicators called the Guardians. Sananda gave messages to a group in Salt Lake City that their city would be destroyed by a flood just before dawn on the 21st of December 1954, but that group would be lifted to safety. and it goes on. As I said, it's a long document, but I tell you what, it is very interesting because it just very much highlights what we're hearing today is quite a rehash of old ideologies, which, as I said there, 1954 we're going back to now. So what was that? 50 years. And every generation, and a lot of them are actually, when you deconstruct all the niceties, because in one part there's a fleet of 10,000 spaceships waiting to take us off Earth because the frequency and the vibration will change. And I'm like, this is what you're hearing today. This stuff is just being rehashed and repackaged for a new market, and it's quite sad. People practice, believe, philosophize, whatever they like. That's absolutely great. But I do take umbrage when it's put over in a way. And I tell you, the core energy, and I've come up against it quite a few times, when I've challenged these thinkings, these thoughts, not rudely, tell me more, I want to understand, well, how does that work? And when you actually question some of these ideologies, very quickly it becomes a personal attack back on me, because the answers aren't there. The answers I'm looking for, and I don't mean single-minded, narrow tracks. I want to hear something, plausible. And if you read through, I say that comment is in the comment box now. It really is a worthwhile read. It's a very, very long read, but it is fascinating because it does, in there, it talks about in 1967, there was a convention held where everybody spoke in light language, and actually nothing came of it, because what was it? So I hope that answers your question, Margaret. A lot of these, as I say, new age things, but they're not anymore because they're just rehashed generation to generation. They are, a lot of them are based on really old traditional religion. This thing about in Utah, there's going to be a great disaster, but you'll all be saved because you're my followers. It's sort of like, well, hang on a minute. We've heard this one before. So, I hope, I'm not dismissing it. People want to believe things. People want to follow different ideologies. Absolutely fine. But please, 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 don't pass it off as spiritualism. Don't try and force it onto people. And practice it amongst you like cut, and that's the way it should be.
See how as you talked about before, how if it's there, and then it will, in some sense, come around in an evidential way. Otherwise, what's the point? In some sense.
Yeah, just being told to believe because you got to. It's like, I'm sorry, my brakes go on there. Lovely Stephen Mager, who is with us tomorrow, unless I've really upset him now. His explanation: all language is light language, slowed down to audible vibrations. I've yet to hear a medium transport me to another realm in the same way Khalil Gibran, Shakespeare, or Rudyard Kipling has. Yeah, I get that. My thing is music. I've got some pieces of music that I just go. I just go away with it, and I'm just happy as Larry, and I'm floating, and I'm out for that time. Good point there, Stephen. Good point. Well, you can give it a go tomorrow, sweetie. We look forward to your address. Joking, Stephen. He's not going to come now, is he? No, he is. He will. A lovely man. He will. But the thing is, I mean, as spiritualists and being very accepting, we are going to come up against things that is not
challenge.
For now. Is not for now for us, and that's fine. I remember on my philosophy route, I was told I've got to read books, so I just went out, grabbed every book on philosophy, and I was going, nope, rubbish, nope, absolute terrible, nope. as I developed my philosophy, my mind went back and thinking, well, actually, I dismissed that book, but now I understand this, so I can't dismiss that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So that's fine.
yeah.
So I've got a smiley face. So I've got a
So
medium tomorrow,
he's
everybody.
coming.
Stephen does the most amazing addresses. He really does. He really gets you
Good.
thinking, and I love that. I love that energy. You know, again, we're free of the orthodoxy, and somebody stood up there telling you what you should and shouldn't do. No, no, no. Every speaker we have here inspires people.
You
You're
need
going to inspire. Yeah,
you need freedom of thought.
very.
Definitely. Yeah.
And you need that inspirational side as well, you know. And you're not maybe not going to touch every single heart in the congregation, but you're going to touch enough of them. And next week, the other demonstrator will touch some of the others. So it's a progressive, cumulative effect, and it inspires people. I very nearly had a little teary moment last Sunday. I went into the back room with the demonstrator, and he went, "You all right?" I went, "No." I said, "Do you know what?" I said, "There's 3 people out in the church who, for various reasons, various issues, been going through a bad time, or a lot of challenges in their life." And I said, and they're all in there laughing, joking, and chatting with other people. And I said, I love that. I love that. I think that's great. That change has come about.
And it's you talk about the change and so on. It's the space that is created for them to step into. I mean, if you think of the imprint, I mean, I'm not saying it's a scary ghost or anything like that, but we know that if I just use that word, it's memories. And think about the amount of memories that have been presented from the depth and the purity and the beauty of the soul that's touched that space and where your services are taking place and so on. And just like the college as well, my experience in the past, it's like you walk through those doors, you just walk into that space, and it's like your soul becomes alive.
Yeah, very true, very true. And it does bear up as well, because I bang on about things. I sound very boring at times, but I always emphasize.
I thought that as well. I'm only kidding.
Oh, I'd like to thank Stephen for joining us tonight. The experience of spiritualism, and I've said it before on the platform in the introduction, if you're going to treat this like Netflix or YouTube or something, you're just going to sit there dispassionately watching what goes on, you're not going to get a lot out of it. But if you immerse into that vibration, that feeling, that atmosphere, and experience it, that's when the real magic starts. Lovely comment from Margaret saying about reading books and going no, but then thinking oh. And she says, I did this with Silver Birch books, disagreed with every page, Margaret, my goodness. 50 years later, I agree with him. Yeah.
And you still kept reading.
But it's true. I mean, this is one of the beauties of our movement, our philosophy, that we actively encourage that expansion, that journey, that continuation, that development and evolvement of the soul. I know you, Stephen, were very good on that path. You're great with your soul work. It's a real joy listening to you. You just have that wonderful ability just to take you on that little journey. And again, it's the experience. Yeah, and it is. Ooh, so we got lovely Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
I've sat and heard Like Language a few times. Sometimes a bit of noise, but in other times it was connected and I felt something energetically. Discernment is key, isn't it? As with everything. Very true. Very true. Because actually, we go back to the original premise, the question there with Margaret. Let's put it into a way that we will understand as spiritualists. You might go and see one medium and think, really? Really? And then the next week you go and see another one and you go, oh my goodness, wow. So yeah, it is about discernment. It's about discerning, and it's about where we are as souls, as spirit. Where are we on that path? I commonest thing people ask for some reason, reincarnation. And my first answer is, listen, love, I'm having enough trouble with this life. I don't want to bother with anybody else's. But it's going to be one of those things that we're probably not going to be able to understand or see it in its fullest until we're back on the other side. And I accept that, and I just go, okay, for now, yeah, it is what it is. I have thoughts.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But as I say, we do unfortunately have people trying to foist stuff on us, and that's when I become very uncomfortable. Anyway, on a brighter note, come on, somebody give us a brighter note. Oh, there you go, Margaret. Unfortunately, my experience was the medium spoke in high-pitched squeaks and odd noises and explained that she had some idea what she had said. So far as the new onlooker is concerned, perhaps this would be rather confusing. Yeah. What do you think of that, Stephen? This is your evening. You are the guest. You are allowed to talk.
I'm just listening to you, Lawrence.
Hey, Lawrence, shut up, for God's sake.
I mean, I don't like times like spiritual chats and things when we talk about, yes, there is bad mediumship out there, but not wanting to dwell completely upon that.
Good.
It's it's the, what do we take away from it? That's is yeah, because sometimes it's good to see mediumship not at its best. It's where we still learn,
Oh, very much.
And just like Matt was saying, it's like you've got to have some kind of rational mind,
Yeah.
to in some way as well. It's got to come across in some way evidential. Maybe it's still to evolve, but then again, how does it make you feel, and so on as well. I mean, when we talk about light language, is it like another? I mean, I've not really completely experienced it. I mean, it's hard to think of it in a sense. Is it another language? Like we get Scottish, we get English, we get French, we get German, and all that kind of stuff. Is it another language? I personally, I find that quite hard to believe, because when we look at the light language itself, when you feel the unconditional love, for example, if you hold a newborn child, or even as a mum with an unborn child, she places her hand upon her stomach, or even just the hug from an animal, is the words, to me, that's light language in that respect. How does it make you feel? Does it need words? Does it need another language like German, French? I don't think so, personally.
Yeah.
As I'm just feeling that as I'm going along here.
I had somebody mention to me, and people do this, when people say, I need to talk to you, I think, oh God, no, you don't. Please don't. And I'm not being rude or dismissive, but this person said, we're having aliens now in our circle. And I went, well, how do you know that's not just a highly evolved spirit that you are, because we're human, we need to, that's a mouse. So we know what a mouse is. That's a microphone. Yeah. So, to a kid, that's a rocket ship. But because we're physical, we need to put an identity on things. And how do you know it's not just but how do you know it's not a highly evolved spirit that your mind has gone? I've had an encounter with a couple of occasions now, and I could not comprehend what I was seeing. I seriously could not comprehend what I was seeing, but I didn't go assigning an identity to it. I'm not that frail, I just thought, okay, it's beyond my understanding. That's fine. I know it was there because not only what I saw objectively, but what I felt. Well, that was the clue. That was the clue. I was like, okay, I'm not sure about this, but fine. And I think, different people process things in different ways. One of my old teachers, she used to do trance dems, and she was wonderful trance medium. And I always remember at one demonstration, they was coming up for the questions, and somebody asked and said, well, we're told there's 7 levels in the spirit world. Could you explain that in more depth? And he went, you know what? He said, you're so limited by your world. He said, because you need that definition. He said, it's almost like going to a department store and getting in a lift and going first floor, second floor, third floor. He said, because you haven't got that freedom there. He said, I look around me and all I see is beauty and harmony. The fella stood next to me only sees discord and anguish. And I went, I get that. That's my mindset. I get that totally. So I do wonder sometimes when people say we're seeing this, we're seeing that. Is it the physical mind has got to put a tag on it? Because the things I saw were indescribable. So guess what? I'm not going to describe them, but it was a very, very real experience.
Yeah, I remember one time many years ago. Now I was sitting in a space and just in that meditative state, I feel like, in a quiet contemplation. But there was very much of my conscious mind, because of the beginning of the journey. It's like, I really want to know how it works, and I'm trying to look at all of what I've learned so far, and if that means that, and if I look at it this way, that means that, and that's how that works now. And then I felt one of my friends come close from the spirit world, and they said, let go of everything you know about mediumship. And of course, there was this part of me, naturally, because I put so much dedication and everything into it, I was like, why? He says, well, what you're doing is you're creating a box, and anything that they can give will only be able to fit within that box. Throw away the box is too small. And therefore, we can just be open to experience. And
Definitely. I often find with new people sat in the development circle, when you've got that raw talent there and that we haven't got the blinkers fitted yet, and they can sit there and just go, oh, well, this is stupid, and they'll come out with something absolutely amazing, and you just sit there and go, wish I'd got that. Hang on a minute. Hang on, we've got trouble in the room. Good evening, Susan.
Hi, Susan.
It's all right. We've only been on 10 minutes.
You too.
But yeah, I agree, and my thinking has changed. And my again, putting it in a way that my mind can navigate,
Mm-hmm.
is that for years, to say, so this whole church behind me, it's real. It's real. I'll throw something and it'll
Yeah.
disappear. Is the spirit world. All right. But for years, we've been trained just to go to that one part for the communication. That's all we're going to look at. Because I'm here to do a job. I'm here to give messages. So I want to communicate. I want to pass on the information. And we're ignoring the rest.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it is going by the by. But we keep doing that. And I'm seeing that start to change with people. Because, we link with the spirit world, the other world, whatever you want to call it. And it's the sum total of everything that ever was, is, and can be. And
another good thing about just as you say, keeping it as the experience without putting a label on it, is because, as we know, the soul evolves, and the more it evolves, so does our perception. So there will go, if we did put a label on it, might turn into something else. It'll end up being too small and end up having to trying to fit it within that box, like I mentioned before. And I guess in some sense we're trying our best, even now during this time, to give words to light in some way. Call it light language if you like, I don't know. But we're giving words to an expression that's moving through us, but moving through our understanding to where we are within our development at this minute in time, and the very much hoping that it can touch and move people that are listening, to bring them to some kind of realization of what it means to them, if they agree with it or not. And if you don't agree with it, and then absolutely amazing, go for gold. You go for what you believe in and how you feel it works through you. And just, I just say, keep, in some sense, a little bit of a rational mind.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit like the old movies of the 1930s. If there was a romantic scene, one foot had to be kept on the ground at all times. And I follow that. That was a joke, Stephen.
It's not funny.
Anyway, good night, Stephen. Perspective adds so much if we allow it to float. Some is imagination, which is wonderful, but some is inspiration and new ideas. Yeah, that's really true. Really, really true. And she goes on to say, Mavis Patilla taught worlds within worlds. Everything can expand to more, us included. Really true. Really, really true. I want to go back to the lovely Margaret. And I love this. And she's asking, do you think to keep an interest for the young seeker in our church today, occasionally the evening could start with Q&As for just half an hour and then prove evidential mediumship and or philosophy? What do you think, Stephen?
Let me read that again. Do you think these young seekers that's a really, really good idea. You just kind of, it's a good idea. I mean, why not? Why not try it? This is only my thoughts. But yeah, I would hope that the mediumship and the philosophy will enrich what's happened or whatever's happened in the Q&A, or have a Q&A after the evidential mediumship and philosophy, which we've done in our events, Lawrence, before, online as well. and a lot of people stay behind, especially just for that part. I mean, say Mary, that's been coming to the church for so many years, heard from her mum so many times, but yet just wants to just be in an environment and also see and feel, hear different people's perceptions and so on. So they don't need the mediumship in some respect. But that Q&A, definitely where, that's again maybe something to look at. But we've put it at the end. In some respect, yeah. It's a good idea I think it's a good, personally, I think it's a good idea to have the Q&A, definitely. Yep.
I used to go somewhere that did exactly that format, and I loved it. The first time I did it, that was the first time I'd ever done Q&As, and I absolutely loved that energy to work in. It was also a really good night when I had people who were been sat in circle and they're ready to start making that move into the public eye. They were great nights for them. They were really nights because you got that sort of like less formality than the divine. You still got the same ingredients, but in a much more relaxed atmosphere. And it was great for the up and comings, especially with the Q&As, because, you know, I'm sorry, as a working medium, you really should know how to walk the walk and talk the talk.
My heart just in some way can't help but going to, like, they're amazing. It's just that Mavis Patilla has already been mentioned here. We've been lucky enough to be in the company of so many times, but she would just open her mouth and just speak, because she's speaking from such depth of knowledge and of soul. It captivates every part of you, and you can't help. You learn. It's like walking into that space, like I mentioned before, like the college or your space. You know, it brings the soul alive. And if we could sit down and have like an evening, and she did that actually as well, and there was loads and loads and loads of people there, just a question and answer, and people that were going through troubles within their development, their unfoldment, and just sitting listening to it. I swear to God, I had tears in my eyes just listening to such perfection and how she was able to put it across. But it's I don't know why my mind just went straight to Mavis in that respect. But if it's done in such a good way, it can captivate so many people through the question and answers. And I'm not devaluing the philosophy, but it's what people are wanting to know, people are wanting to hear. There's that interactiveness going back and forward. And in the same way, the soul is still always expressing itself through the medium or the speaker, whether it's in a question and answer or philosophy.
Yeah, very true. Margaret goes on to comment, this will give the questioner a voice, otherwise they go away unnoticed, perhaps. Yeah. To me, you know, this is the mark of a good church or a centre, that you are actively include, you know, I know inclusive and all that is the buzzword, but if you include people into the service, if you make people feel comfortable, and what is very, very necessary, that you create that educational environment. That's the hardest thing, because I've seen people that will
from a rational perspective.
Exactly. I've seen people try different ideas and they give it, you know, 3 weeks and go, well, that's not working, nobody's coming. I'm sorry, you can't do that in 3 weeks. It's a drip on stone, you know. You've got to encourage, and you've got to look at the other nuts and bolts of the church or the centre, and where is the educational side of it? You know, are there the awareness? Are there the circles? Are there different types of services? You know, you're going to have a healing service, a philosophy service, things like that, because, you know, we need to stimulate growth within our congregations.
Yeah, that's a
We
great
can't.
idea. Personally, I think it's a great idea to have giving the questioner a voice.
Yeah, yeah, and it does. You know, I do. It's a silly little thing, but I do it here and the services for the healing. And instead of, no offense to anybody, but I've seen it so many times, people pick up the healing book and they go, healing for, I think that's Fred, and healing for, oh, I can't read that word. I invite people just to call out the names.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great on many levels, because energetically it's wow. You know, it adds a new dimension to it. But from the congregants' point of view, you know, they're actually being included,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I want. You know, this is what we do. We include people, not come in, sit down, shut up.
Yeah.
Don't say anything to the end of service. Shh.
And they're not. And when we talk about the questioner, if it's something they're really wanting to know and something like they're really trying to understand deep down from within them, they're asking more than a question. They're offering more than a question. They're offering a part of them in some way into that space energetically, if you like.
Yeah.
And that when I was talking about creating the conditions within a space, if the people, the questioners, or whoever, are able to respond or have some kind of interaction within that, they're offering their energy, if you like, into that space. The building, personally, I believe they're building strength within a space that can help sustain a service, the demonstration of healing, or and so on. Yeah, because we are offering a part of it too. Yeah.
And we know, don't we, through experience, that every question we ask, when we get the answer, raises another 10 questions. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, okay. Well, if that's so, then what about, you know? And this is where we can thrive as a movement or a philosophy or whatever you want to call ourselves, by having that engagement. As I said, the orthodoxy is you don't do this, you do that, you don't do this, you do that. You know, you can see why it's struggling. You can see why it is struggling. But you know, these Q&A nights, and different nights and different events, you've got to actively build a following. When I say following, I don't mean, you know, bow down to me. You know what I mean by following, like we have followers on Facebook, stalkers, whatever they call. But we've got to actually have that energy already in there, or build that energy in there, where people will actively engage with things. That they don't, you know, I always say, you know, ask a question and please don't think it's stupid. Because if you don't know the answer, the question is totally valid. So, yeah, it's a multi-level thing.
And I know many people kind of say this as well, but it's true. I mean, many times, for example, when we've been doing our demonstrations, and we had Frederick, Lola, and Jack there as well, and people are asking their questions at the very beginning. So, who's got a question? Nobody's asking a question. As soon as one question goes, that starts that ball. And it's true. It's like someone else is thinking the same, or wondering the same as you, if you are to ask it. There's no such thing as a silly question.
Yeah, it's always hard getting that first one out, but once you do, it's a little bit like these evenings. I mean, we may start off on the thread, but as comments and questions come in, you know, we go with the flow, which is absolutely wonderful. So we're back to the lovely Stephen Maker. And he says, I used to be obsessed with how spirit described their surroundings in the next phase of life. and it's always been given either a description of immense beauty or indescribable love. Words always fall short, and that's where the bards, poets, musicians, and artists become the scribes. Oh, you're such
Oh,
the
wow.
He's such the
That's
wordsmith, isn't he? He really is.
the falling over those words itself, you know,
Yeah,
it's beautifully said.
yeah. And it's true, isn't it? Because, I love classical music. I fell in love with classical music when I found out that actually most pieces were telling a story as well. So when I started linking in what the story was and looking that up and listening to the music, I was transported. I was having the night on Thunder Mountain or whatever it was, not Bareback Mountain or something else. I was there. And it's just magical the way it works. And yet, there was a lovely line in one of the really old books and always stuck in my mind. And he said that a thought or a need is felt in the spirit world. And the work on that need will filter down through the realms of art, through music, through literature, through all different realms and different expressions. And the answer may manifest as a book. And I thought, I love that. I love that thought. So, yeah.
It's beautifully said.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, we started off not quite sure what we were going to do, and there you go. Before you know it, crash bang wallop, an hour has gone.
Oh my goodness, so it has.
I know.
Gee.
I think you need to open up the window again. I think we need to hear the oyster catchers.
It's been open. It's been open.
Oyster catchers down here, and it's a very soulful sound when you hear it because they're very active around dusk.
Yeah.
And you just hear that chip chip and pip pip pipping away, and it's just like, oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, Stephen, thank you so much for giving up time on your
Thank you for inviting me.
In Tobermory. Right?
I'm in Achetabuie. That's where I am. Up the west coast of Scotland, up northwest.
I'm sure that's
way in the middle of the mountains.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute delight to catch up.
It's been so nice. It's been been nice. And listening to everyone's input in this, it makes me question myself as well, which is all part of the growth, and see things from different people's perspectives and so on. So it's just like that Q&A we were talking about before. Everyone's given that input, and it's I feel I've certainly grown from this as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you just hit on an angle there that I hadn't brought in. It does make us, people answering the questions, think about things. I always like to try and go back to everything with 1.0 at times, because we can we're going like that on our development, and people are coming in new to us. We're trying to talk to them from here. And they go, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
What are you talking about? What is that light language? What is that presence? That's another way to put it, light language. It's your presence that speaks through you.
Definitely. So yeah, it does. I think it's a very healthy thing for working mediums to do, because of that simple fact. It makes us think. Makes us think about things, and some things we just take for granted, we don't really examine, but one question can make us go back and go, yeah, maybe I'm right, or maybe I need to change. Anyway, whatever. You've been an absolute delight, a wonderful man, Stephen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too, Lawrence. Thanks.
Enjoy your rest of the time by the seaside there.
I will.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Thank you. go for a wee dip in the sea in a wee minute, I think.
Oh, I love swimming in the sea.
Ah.
Oh, right.
Got a beautiful, the tide's out now, so got a beautiful beach there. Nice, the water is, when you put your head under that water, it's just crystal clear. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I've got Paul Arbor. It's not very clear. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
joining us.
you, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you.
There's sheer joy when people join in like this. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Please remember, you can watch our service live tomorrow. We have Stephen Mager is our guest demonstrator. So again, what comes up in the philosophy is always, yeah, I like that,
Yeah.
or ooh, that's challenging me, which is good. That's a good thing. Anyway, have a lovely night, everybody. We wish you well. And we will see you again soon. No, next week. Who have we got? Daniela Niehaus and Deanna
Oh, nice.
are with us next week because they'll be here ready to start a week's work in pool. So I'm going to put them to work a night early. If you're watching Daniela or Deanna, would you please do the Lyceum next week? That'd be great. Anyway, a very good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.